Today I'm going to show you how to make a little PSP stand, Cradle. What I use for over a year now. Multiple uses, kind of rugged, put together pretty easily. Sorry I can't show you how I made it, because I made it over a year ago and the tools that I had back then I don't have now. But I'll take it apart and show you piece by piece what you're going to need to make your own. Alright? Well, pretty much as you can see, it's pretty simple made. 90% aluminum. Only a couple of steel screws and nuts. Or nuts. Angled aluminum and straight pieces also. Alright, well, let's start taking it apart. That way I can show you exactly how I put it together. And if you notice, I'm using the nuts that have a round cap on the end of them. That way you don't get cut or snagged up on the screws. Easily that comes off. Now these two pieces are on the angle iron. Drilled holes separately in both. I used to have little padding on here, but I noticed the padding was way too tight. It was too thick. I could have used something smaller, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time. Plus I didn't have it available. I painted it black, which was a bad idea, because as you can see, the paint's starting to come off. So, but that's alright. It serves its purpose. But as you can see, I find a piece. I had a long piece, very long piece, and I wanted it to cover just enough of the PSP for the bottom. Now I know you're wondering why they're kind of angled out a little bit, and I'll show you that later on. But I cut it just long enough so I can get to the earphone jack. When I first made this, I had the PSP fat, so you know they changed the earphone jack from where it is. It's alright, comes in handy anyway. Still works the way I want it. Cut a piece long enough. Drilled 2 holes. The third hole, I'll explain that at the end. And then pretty much I just glued these 2 pieces on. You really don't have to glue them on, since the bolts and the nuts will hold them on. And it seems to work just fine. Now, for the rest. These you can unscrew by hand. Pretty easy. Ta-da! This is where it gets a little weird. This is a piece of aluminum tubing, painted black of course. The reason why I have the aluminum tubing is to keep a distance apart, because without that distance this thing will close up all the time, all the way, and you don't want it closed all the way all the time. Now I just use one long bolt and a spring. The spring fits right over. Now this spring doesn't feel very strong, but it's pretty strong when you get 2 of them together and it's holding your PSP in. Now let's go to the upper half. The upper half, this is where things get a little complicated. So I might have to stop the video and try to see if I can explain it. Screw it, I can do it without stopping. Alright, it's another piece of angle iron, just like this. Came off the same piece that I had. It's about the same length, as you can see. But this was a little bit more difficult to make. This, I wanted it wide enough, or far apart enough, so when I put it together, it will fit right in between the accessories. The camera, GPS. The only thing I didn't think about was the TV tuner. Now that I live in Japan, I can use the TV tuner. But for everything else, this works fine. As you can see, it's a pretty nice fit. Not too bad. A little wide, but better than too skinny. Now to make that piece, I had to hacksaw all the way down to the back. As you can see, hopefully you can see, all the way down to the back. And then to get the rest out, I had to Dremel a corner out and a corner out, and then try to fit the hacksaw blade in between and zoop, screw it all off. Now to get this piece onto the square aluminum, I had to drill 2 holes through the L-shaped aluminum and through this. And then to secure it in, I just use simple pop rivets. Push it through, crank it, and when it pops, you got it. Did it on both sides. Seems to work and hold nicely. It feels like it's actually one piece. Alright, now this part, I'm going to warn you about this part, the holes. The holes for the bolts are pretty nice because they're the exact size of the bolt. There's not very much play in there. The only problem is when you drill these holes, you got to make sure you drill them exactly at a 90-degree angle. I drilled these by hand, so that was a little tough. The reason why, well, I'll tell you why later on. Alright, so pretty much 2 pieces of the L-shaped aluminum you'll need, 2 straight pieces, or you can actually use a cut off piece of the L. Just make sure you take half that L off and make it just a straight piece. Drill, 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 pop rivets, drill the 2 holes in these 2 pieces, and then you're going to need 2 bolts, 2 regular nuts, 2 nuts with caps on the ends, 2 screws, and aluminum tubing. You can get 1 long piece and then just cut it. I cut these a certain size so it stays open. It gives a little tension on the springs still, and it's easier to put your PSP in one-handed. Alright, I'm going to put it all back together, so I'll see you back here in a second. Alright, now I'll show you why I have a hole at the bottom. A while ago I bought from Sunpack a clamp-on tripod style thing. Adjustable head, all this and that. Really great if say you're well, as you can see, it sits just like a regular. It has 2 settings, one front, one back. It also comes with a flexible neck, but I don't use a flexible neck that much. But it's really good to clamp on windows, pretty much anything. When I'm in the car, I have a new one now, but the suction cup. But this one, when I had it in the car and I needed it for the GPS out here in Japan, I would clamp it onto, we have a little bar over the glove compartment, so I just clamp it onto there, and then I attach this to it. And what I do is I take that hole, as you see I put it on, and put a little bit clearer for you. I get another little crown nut, and I screw it on partially, by hand as much as I can. Screw it on the rest of the way so it's nice and tight, because you don't want your PSP going anywhere. And then I open it up, stick my PSP in, and voila, Alright, well now, as you're about to see, I have it. It's in his cradle. Got the camera on. Got a bunch of crap hanging around me. Ignore everything in the background on both cameras. Sorry, my bad.